Now this hour we have the latest from the war front in Ukraine, coming from the territory of Pokrovsk, a city that has witnessed intense hostilities between Russian and Ukrainian forces. The Russian Ministry of Defense has claimed that Russian forces have encircled Ukrainians in the city and will continue their quote-unquote destruction in Pokrovsk. The ministry also mentioned a similar situation in the area of Kupiansk, where Ukrainian forces have also reportedly been encircled by the Russians. Okay, we're now joined by Professor Veselin Popovsky. He is a professor and vice dean at Jindal Global Law School, and he joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Russia claims that its forces have encircled these Ukrainian troops in the Pokrovsk region, and also, of course, tightening pressure in Kupiansk. How credible are these claims at this stage of the war, Professor Popovsky?
Not very credible. We have exactly the counter information from Kiev, from Ukraine, that they are holding, and they're actually reinforcing their troops there, both in Pokrovsk and in Kupiansk. So, by the way, those go. I just checked exactly a year ago in November 24. Russians were saying exactly the same. So the last 12 months, they couldn't capture a kind of a very small size of a city in Ukraine. But still, it's a serious situation. There is a heavy fight. We don't know what will happen in the next days. Ukrainians are holding to that because it's a major transportation hub, and it is important to secure the road to Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. These are two major cities which are in Donetsk part of Ukraine. So for that matter, Pokrovsk is important, nothing else. It's all the population is evacuated long time ago. That basically it's a destroyed city already, and the only significance are the roads around it. In fact, the Ukrainians reported that they are not surrounded, but the roads that brings the supplies to them is heavily shelled by the Russian artillery. So the supplies are under jeopardy. And for that matter, they may decide to withdraw if those supply routes to Pokrovsk do not hold, and somehow to try to stop the Russian advance outside Pokrovsk. So effectively, it's more symbolic meaning here, whether Russia will finally, as I said, after more than a year, capture Pokrovsk. But if so, it will not change much on the battlefield either. Let's also remember that the Russians lost probably tens of thousands of soldiers only on that destination for the last year. So it's a very heavy price to pay with 10,000 of Russian soldiers in Pokrovsk to capture a city with some significance, but nothing major in terms of advance on the battlefield. Obviously, here Russia would like to report some success because everything else fails. They couldn't get a meeting with Donald Trump in Budapest, couldn't stop the supplies for modern technology and modern weaponry to Ukraine, which will continue, including from the United States. They couldn't get anything out of Donald Trump. In fact, the opposite. Donald Trump is now finally very firmly supporting Ukraine and basically blaming Russia for the lack of any progress on ceasefire or peace deal.
Yes, and of course, winter is approaching. If Pokrovsk did fall, what would that mean for both the Donetsk region and of course also the broader sense of the war in general?
Still, there is a lot of territory of Donetsk region left, even if Pokrovsk fails. The biggest cities there are Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. And they are on a kind of a distance from Pokrovsk. So Ukrainians, obviously, over the last years have built solid protection lines, mines, and if Russia decides to take the entire Donetsk region, it will take years and hundreds of thousands of soldiers dead. So this is really a question for Putin. How many lives he wants to sacrifice? And money, because all of this costs a lot of money. How many billions of dollars and how many human lives in 6 digits he's happy to sacrifice to get all Donetsk, only Donetsk region. We are not talking about Zaporozhye and Kherson, 2 regions that he claimed in the constitution, but they are far, far away from any possible. Even theoretically, I think those 2 cannot be captured. All the military experts say Zaporozhye and Kherson are impossible. So that's why Putin limits his ambition to Donetsk region, but that is a long task and it requires billions of dollars and it requires also 6-digit soldiers dead.
Yes, Professor Popovsky, do stay with us. Thank you very much for giving us your insight on that. We will, of